I can't really.
So I'm Catherine McLean, founder and CEO of Dillon Green, and today I have with me Zoe Berkery, COO at Clean Capital. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Catherine.
And thank you, Nico, for this experience that I will not be replicating. Because I am very, 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 very nervous.
We're going to have a great time.
So for those of people who don't know, can you please introduce yourself and what you do at Clean Capital?
Absolutely. So I am currently the Chief Operating Officer at Clean Capital. So what does that mean? Me and my team, we oversee all things asset management for our growing fleet of commercial scale solar and battery storage projects across the country. We currently have about 250 megawatts across 20 states, 153 sites. It's a lot to manage. Commercial scale is no joke. And throughout the history of Clean Capital, we've put over $1 billion to work in the space. So, our portfolio has ranged as large as 500 megawatts. Right now it's 250, and we're continuing to grow and build.
Great. Yeah. Great. That's wonderful. And I know that you started out as a White House intern.
Yes.
And then you worked your way up to your current role. Do you think having more senior women leaders in clean tech could help advance the energy transition as well as the DEI-J initiative?
Of course. I mean, climate change is not just a white male problem.
It's not?
No, I know, it's crazy. And in order to effectively solve any problem, you need those affected by it to be part of the conversation.
Right.
I think barring that, you're not going to find effective solutions to what we're, at the end of the day, all here because of, and that's climate change and when wanting to support the clean energy transition.
Yep.
So I think, increasing the diversity of perspectives, voices, faces in the industry is mission critical. Without that, I think we will fall flat. For sure. And countless studies show that women in particular are actually savvier investors. So, the data shows it.
It's a good thing we're allowed to open a bank account without a male signature these days.
So we need more women in investment committees and driving, where we're putting our capital into, I think, in order to continue to accelerate this transition. And I think I've been very lucky in my career to have had a lot of really strong female mentors that have really helped champion me to get to where I am right now. And I hope to be doing the same to others and in pushing the DEI conversation as much as possible.
Yep. You've progressed from a mergers and acquisition associate at Clean Capital to running the place. So Chief Operating Officer.
With help. With lots of help.
What was like your progression like? And do you have any advice for those looking to make similar strides?
Absolutely. So I can't stress this enough that I think it is so important to do a lot of learning by doing in your career. I was given an excellent opportunity in the earliest founding days of Clean Capital where we were really just getting our feet under ourselves. There was so much work to be done, and we all wore a million hats every single day. I was definitely the most junior person at that point. I didn't say no to a single project or ask that was thrown my way. I had no ego, and I just dove in. And I had prior to that, been on the policy side of things. So finance and investing in capital markets was brand new to me, at the very start of my time in this space. So it was a lot of grunt work, putting in the hours, again, not saying no, and Googling every little thing I didn't understand, and not being afraid to ask questions along the way.
It's one of the number one things I get asked when I'm taking briefs for job descriptions is they want somebody that has that intellectual curiosity.
Completely.
I'm like, so somebody that Googles stuff. They're like, exactly.
That's the number one thing I am looking for in interviews. And I ask how people deal with a challenge that they come across, and what are the steps that they take. And if their first response is I ask someone and they haven't even delved into the problem or looked up potential solutions, even if it's wrong, I know that that's maybe not someone who's going to be the right fit. Because we always say we want to hire athletes at Clean Capital, people that are able to potentially play a number of different roles and really just get their hands dirty in any problem that we might have. And so kind of back to starting as an M&A associate, as the team grew, as our assets under management grew, we really needed someone full-time overseeing all things performance and asset management and reporting out to investors, finding ways to harvest more value, post-operations. We just knew that there was more that could be done in terms of
Right.
contract extensions, property tax optimization. So that really spoke to me. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I like how tangible asset management can be.
Yeah.
Seeing those kilowatt hours turn into real dollars that
Sure,
just
sure.
attracts more investment. So it's been a cool ride building out the team. Yeah.
What are some of the projects that you're most proud of working at Clean Capital?
Yeah, so I alluded to one where we've done a major push in terms of extending existing contracts with some of our customers. So over the last couple years, we've extended about 18 megawatts of capacity, but what that really resulted in was an additional $40 million in revenue that had not been previously underwritten or in our financial models.
Wow.
That can be, somewhat lower dollar value, but when it's hadn't been in the initial investment thesis, it's an incredible win for the company
Sure.
and for solar in general.
Sure.
I would also add just actually building out the asset management team.
Right.
We had previously outsourced a lot of these services, and now we do the full suite of asset management services in-house, from technical management and oversight, finance and accounting, and then optimization, kind of looking at those additional opportunities in the space. On kind of not just in the asset management and operations space, I would say championing or being a champion of Clean Capital's allyship committee and our internship program that looks to offer internship opportunities to individuals that don't have any experience in the space,
Okay.
potentially come from a DEI community,
Right.
and we're really challenging ourselves to expand our network.
Right.
Because if we're only hiring people
Right.
we're not solving the problem.
Right.
So
Exactly. Or maybe like more people from like an LMI background.
yeah, exactly.
That might not have gone to like
Yeah.
an Ivy League school.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. I know.
So Clean Capital recently closed a $500 million round led by Canada's Manulife, as well as surpassed $1 billion cumulative capital deployed into solar and storage projects. Can you share a bit more about these milestones and why you think they're significant?
Yeah, so we're really proud of the relationship we've built with John Hancock Manulife. They were our first investor back in 2016 on our first 8 megawatt portfolio across 15 sites. They came in as a debt capital provider. And so being able to revisit that relationship in a much bigger scale equity partnership that we closed initially in April of 2021 and just recently upsized a few months ago, I think really speaks to them trusting our investment thesis and how we see the world, how we want to really push the clean energy transition and grow in the space. And they've been absolutely amazing to work with and have made my life overseeing asset management really, really much better. It's kind of nice having that one point of contact and working with them so closely. And then the $1 billion milestone is still so surreal because underneath that quick dollar value that you can just spit out there, it's just it's hundreds of thousands of kWh generated.
Yeah.
It's hundreds of thousands, potentially, maybe hundreds of truck rolls, maintaining the sites. There's just so much work that went into that. It's just a very cool milestone to have hit.
I would get confused on the spreadsheet. Like, have I put enough zeros in or
I
something?
know.
But I'm
Yeah.
not a finance guru, but that would throw me. So what are some opportunities and challenges you see with IRA?
It's top of mind, I think, on every single team call we have, and I think it will be for a long time, and that's a good problem to have. Prior to the IRA being announced, Clean Capital acquired BQ Energy Development last spring. They are a solar developer and battery storage, focused on developing in brownfield sites.
Okay, interesting.
So that was, with the IRA adders on investments and development in brownfield and less desirable land.
Yes.
We were very excited about that, and it's a great space to be in regardless. But with the IRA adders, that's only made us more excited about that
maybe
investment.
like beige field or something.
Right, yeah, exactly.
moving from.
Exactly. But then from the asset management perspective, I think exploring how prevailing wage and the apprenticeship requirements will play out in terms of our O&M assumptions and how the contracting changes and how the reporting will be required is still something we're wrapping our heads around.
Right.
But again, good problems to have. And then another item that's top of mind is repowering and how the IRA incentives may actually encourage folks to jump into a repowering scenario maybe earlier than they would have or at all.
Right.
In terms of getting those, recapturing the ITC if you were to replace about 80% or more of an existing site.
Okay. So my next question was going to be a bit about some of the investment trends. So I know you've just touched on it a bit. Can you talk a little bit more about, I think you guys came out with a market predictions article with some insights there?
Sure, yeah. And each of the executives kind of gave their insights into where they saw everything going. But I'd say in general, Clean Capital takes a lot of pride in building long-term performing assets. We're not looking to flip them the next year.
Right.
So we ensure that our asset management team, a lot of my championing of this, are involved in the earliest days of the investment.
Right.
Thinking through kind of how we're going to do this on the technical due diligence side, property tax, insurance. I want to make sure we're thinking about that all on the front end.
Right.
We don't have surprises later. Hopefully not post COD.
Yep.
I mean, things always happen, but I think that has only grown the trust from our investors, and it's made us a stronger investor in the space as a result.
You're very thoughtful.
Yeah, exactly.
Which again,
try to
is,
be.
A woman kind of, thing maybe there.
Right. Agreed.
So speaking of trends, what are your thoughts on a topic that is very
We've talked about this, yes.
very near and dear to my heart, remote versus hybrid?
So it's something that we are constantly grappling with at Clean Capital.
Yeah.
We've always been a very remote-friendly company, even prior to COVID. And that, of course, just only grew during COVID. But I am a firm believer that I think to have a strong culture within your company, which we take a lot of pride in and have really tried to foster over the years, and as we grow, that gets harder to do when you're fully remote. So I think in order to foster, a very healthy and strong culture, as well as for junior folks to learn most effectively, you need that face time.
Sure.
So we are debating maybe a 2-day-a-week in office sort of soft requirement for those that live around the New York area where we have headquarters, but we do have satellite offices in Buffalo and San Diego and North Carolina. So trying to get folks, together as much as possible.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that you had a presence in San Diego.
We do, yes. Alyssa and Mia. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, small, 2 folks, but hey, they have a little co-working space and they love it because they wanted that connectivity.
Well, that's it. I mean, you only just need 2 to co-work.
Right, it's true. It's true. Just one more.
Just one more.
Yeah, to his company.
So I just want to thank you for your time and doing this with me.
Likewise, this was fun. I really appreciate it, Catherine.
And I just, just a big shout out to Clean Capital because I've known you guys for so many years, and the amount of candidates I speak to who are like, I want to work for a company like Clean Capital.
Oh, that is so nice to hear.
It's just, honestly, to get to that point, it doesn't go unnoticed in the industry.
That is music to my ears, and I hope we're doing everything we can to maintain that. So I really appreciate that, and it's been excellent working with you over the years. Dylan Green is amazing.
Thanks.
So, thank you so much.
Great.